Carlos Alcaraz's only weakness. Everyone talks about how complete Carlos Alcaraz is. The power, the speed, the creativity, the ability to turn defense into offense in a single shot. Some analysts have even started asking a question that used to feel ridiculous. Is Alcaraz actually becoming unbeatable? But every player in tennis history has had a weakness, even the greatest. Roger Federer had the high backhand on clay. Rafael Nadal could be rushed on faster courts. Novak Djokovic once struggled with endurance and breathing early in his career. So naturally, the question becomes this: what is Carlos Alcaraz's weakness? And the truth is, it's not as obvious as you might think. Because the scary part about Alcaraz is that many of his former weaknesses are disappearing. But there are still a few areas that players on tour quietly try to target. Part 1. The serve. If analysts had to pick the weakest part of Carlos Alcaraz's game, most would say the same thing: his serve. Not because it's bad, but compared to the very best servers in tennis, it hasn't always been dominant. Players like Jannik Sinner, Taylor Fritz, Giovanni Mpeci Pericard, and Riley Opelka are among the top names on the ATP serving leaderboards. These players generate huge numbers of free points from their serve. In current ATP serving statistics, Alcaraz sits around 10th, while these bigger servers dominate the top spots. Alcaraz has never relied on that. Part of it is physical. At around 6 feet tall, he's slightly shorter than many top players, which naturally limits some of the downward angle and raw power available on serve. And against elite returners like Djokovic, Sinner, or Daniil Medvedev, his service games can sometimes come under pressure. More break points, more long deuce games, more scoreboard stress. But here's the important part: the serve is improving rapidly. Over the last few seasons, Alcaraz has refined his placement, rhythm, and consistency. The result? What used to be considered a weakness is slowly becoming a weapon. Part 2. The running forehand. Another area that used to show up was the running forehand. More specifically, forehands hit while moving at full speed. When Alcaraz is balanced, his forehand is one of the most destructive shots in tennis. Heavy, explosive, full of spin and pace. But earlier in his career, when he was stretched wide or forced forward, that forehand sometimes became defensive. Instead of attacking, he would simply guide the ball back into play. Opponents noticed. They started targeting that side, forcing him wide and testing whether he could still create offense from uncomfortable positions. But Alcaraz has worked on this heavily, and slowly, that running forehand is starting to look less like a weakness and more like another weapon. Part 3. Emotional fluctuations. Earlier in his career, Alcaraz also had occasional emotional swings during matches. He could dominate a set and then suddenly drift, losing focus, overthinking, trying too many creative options. Some people even described it as Alcaraz going on the moon. Ironically, the reason was one of his biggest strengths: his imagination. He has so many options: drop shot, forehand blast, net approach, that sometimes the decision-making becomes complicated, and occasionally that led to errors or surprising losses. But in recent seasons, something has changed. He looks calmer, more stable, more mature. The lapses are rarer, and the dominance lasts longer. Exactly what you'd expect from a player entering their prime. Part 4. Over-aggression. This next one is unusual. Sometimes Alcaraz's biggest strength can also become his biggest risk: aggression. He loves to attack, to improvise, to finish points quickly. And when it works, it looks unstoppable. But in very tight moments, that instinct to go big can occasionally backfire. Instead of the safest shot, he might try something spectacular: a risky drop shot, a huge forehand down the line, a sudden net rush. Most of the time it works, but when it doesn't, it can lead to costly errors. It's not really a weakness, it's simply the price of playing fearless tennis. Part 5. Returning big servers. The final area is more situational. Against the biggest servers in tennis, even great returners can struggle. And while Alcaraz is an excellent returner overall, huge serves can still put him under pressure. In fact, in current ATP return statistics, Alcaraz ranks number 2, with Sinner holding the number 1 spot. Matches against players like Sinner or Medvedev can sometimes turn into rapid service holds. That means Alcaraz has to be incredibly sharp when the few break opportunities appear. But to be fair, every player on tour faces this challenge. Conclusion: when you step back and look at the full picture, something becomes clear. Yes, Carlos Alcaraz has weaknesses. Every player does. Serve pressure, running forehands, occasional overaggression, past emotional fluctuations. But here's the problem for the rest of the tour. Most of those weaknesses are disappearing. The serve is improving, the running forehand is getting stronger, his emotional control is more stable, and his decision-making keeps evolving, which leads to a scary possibility. Alcaraz might be approaching a point where he has no obvious weakness at all. And if this is the current version, the real question becomes much bigger. What does the finished version look like? And how unlucky is the rest of the tour if we're about to find out?